Hello to all. So now I'm continuing with the topic of inflammation. In the last talk, I talked about the cellular events of inflammation in which the WBCs they move from the intravascular location to the extravascular site where the microbe is present. So basically, it is moving out of the circulation to reach the microbe in order to kill it. So the steps were margination, followed by rolling, then adhesion, then transmigration, and the final two steps are chemotaxis and phagocytosis. So in this talk, I'll be covering these two steps. So what is chemotaxis? So chemotaxis is the movement of the WBC along a chemical gradient towards the site of injury after it exits the circulation. So when it moves outside the blood vessel, it will move towards the microbe. So this is the microbe, and this is along a chemical gradient. So there are certain chemicals which are known as chemoattractants. They attract the WBC towards them. So the chemoattractants, their chemical gradient, it is more towards the microbe and lesser away from it. So there is a gradient where the concentration is less here and it is more here. So now it will move along this concentration towards the microbe. This is chemotaxis. So what are those chemicals? Those chemicals are known as chemoattractants because they attract the WBC towards the microbe. So what are the chemoattractants? Chemoattractants can be exogenous, so they can be derived from the bacteria, its various products like peptides, or it can be endogenous, so which are derived within the body, like cytokines, like interleukin 8, then arachidonic acid metabolite like LTB4, and complement components like C5A. So these are formed when the microbe enters our body and they act as chemoattractants so that the WBC reaches the microbe. Now these chemoattractants, they will bind to certain receptors on the WBCs, and with this interaction, so the phagocyte, which is either the neutrophil or monocyte, it will be able to ingest the microbe. So the interaction will occur between the certain receptors and the chemoattractants chemicals. So what are those receptors? First is Mannose receptor, then scavenger receptor, and the receptors for various opsonins. Opsonins are the chemicals which coat the surface of bacteria, and they will make the microbe more palatable for the phagocyte. So these are the various receptors which will bind the chemoattractants, and this will enable the phagocyte to bind and ingest the microbe. So these chemotactic substances, which can be either endogenous or exogenous, they will bind to these receptors, and it will cause increase in the calcium concentration in the cytoplasm of the phagocyte, that is the neutrophil or monocyte. And when the intracellular calcium is increased, there will be activation of certain proteins leading to the polymerization of actin at the leading edge. So there will be formation of a pseudopod, also known as phylopod, and this will result in the movement of the leukocyte. So a phylopod will be formed at one end of the WBC, and it will help in the movement of the WBC. So this phylopod will pull the cell in the direction of the microbe. So this is a picture, it is showing this phylopod. So this is the WBC, and due to increased intracellular calcium and activation of the contractile proteins, the actin will polymerize here and this phylopod will be formed, and because of this it will help in the movement of the WBC toward the microbe. Now this is an in vivo picture in which this is a endospore and this is the neutrophil, and you can see there is a phylopod which is formed here. So next we come to phagocytosis. So now with the chemotaxis, the WBC reaches near to the microbe. Now next step will be the WBC will ingest and kill the microbe, and this is known as phagocytosis. So ingestion and degradation of the bacteria or dead cell by the phagocytic cells. So mainly phagocytic cells which play a role in inflammation are in neutrophils and macrophages. So this is known as phagocytosis, and it is a multiple step process. So what are the steps? There are 3 steps. First is recognition and attachment. So the WBC will recognize the microbe and then it will get attached to it. Secondly, there will be engulfment of the microbe by the WBC, and thirdly the WBC will kill or degrade that microbe. So these are the three steps. So let's see these steps one by one. So this is the first step. So this is the WBC. It can be macrophage or neutrophil, and it has got certain receptors. So there are some important receptors are there. One receptor is for the FC component of the antibody. This is a microbe. This is a bacteria. It is coated by this FC, the FC part of the antibody, and there is a C3, the complement protein. So there are receptors for these chemoattractants or opsonins, which are present on the WBC. So it will bind to it, bind and attach to it. After that, again, because of the activation of the actin proteins which will polymerize, it will again form certain pseudopores and it will engulf this bacteria into its body. So now this the third stage is, now this is ingested inside the cell. So it takes the microbe inside the cell, and inside the cell there are lysosomes. So lysosomes, it fuses with the vacuole containing the microbe. The vacuole which is containing the microbe is known as phagosome, and these are the lysosomes. So there is a formation of phagolysosome, and inside this phagolysosome there is killing and degradation. So these are the three basic steps. So this is the first step. The receptors on the WBCs, they are present and they can bind to the complement protein C3b and FC portion of the immunoglobulin which is coating the bacteria. These are known as opsonins. Second step was engulfment. So when this microbe is bound to those receptors, then pseudopores will be formed and will flow around the microbe, and after that the phagosome will be formed. So phagosome will enclose that microbe, and when the phagosome reaches inside the cell, this phagosome will fuse with the lysosome and will form the phagolysosome. And the phagolysosome formation is important because inside this phagolysosome the killing of that bacteria will take place, and it is also important because the killing should not affect the other cellular components of that WBC. So it will be, the killing will take place inside a closed area of phagolysosome, and it will not damage the other cellular components of the WBC. So now the third step was killing and degradation. So basic three mechanisms are there inside those WBC, like neutrophils and macrophages. So what are those killing mechanisms? First is killing by the reactive oxygen species and reactive nitrogen species. Second is because of the nitric oxide. Again, nitric oxide will result in the formation of certain free radicals which will cause the killing of the microbe. And third is by the lysosomal enzymes. Now the site of action is, as I told you, it is phagolysosome. So the killing will occur in the phagolysosome, and the advantage is that when killing occurs inside it, it will not damage the other cellular components of the host cell. Now what are the mechanism of action of these three components? First is free radicals. So free radicals, they are highly reactive and they bind to the various cellular components of the microbe, like lipids. They will bind to the proteins in that microbe, they will bind to the nucleic acid in that microbe, and it will thereby destroy that cell. Secondly, the nitric oxide which is formed, it will lead to the formation of a free radical which is known as peroxynitrite, and again this will act in this way, in the same way as the free radicals act. And third mechanism is the lysosomal enzyme. So as I told you, there is a formation of phagolysosome where the phagosome will bind to the lysosome, and what the lysosome contains, it contains enzymes. It contains certain enzymes like hydrolases which will degrade the microbes. So what are the reactive oxygen species which are formed inside the phagolysosome? So one is superoxide, second is hypochlorite, and hydroxyl radical. So hydroxyl radical, it is the hypochlorite, it is formed by an enzyme myeloperoxidase which is found in the neutrophil, and it is formed from hydrogen peroxide. So hydrogen peroxide MPO halide system, it is the most efficient bactericidal system of the neutrophil, and it can come as a MCQ. The hydrogen peroxide is also converted to the hydroxyl radical which is also a reactive oxygen species. These reactive oxygen species, they are produced by the activation of an enzyme which is present in the membrane of the phagolysosome, which is known as phagocyte oxidase or NADPH oxidase. So it has an important role in the formation of reactive oxygen species. Now there are certain antioxidant mechanisms in the body to counteract these free radicals so that these free radicals don't damage the normal cells of the body. So what are these mechanisms? There are certain enzymes like superoxide dismutase, then catalase which will detoxify the hydrogen peroxide, another glutathione peroxidase which again detoxifies the hydrogen peroxide. Then there is a ceruloplasmin, it is a copper containing plasma protein, and transferrin, the plasma transferrin. So these are the antioxidant mechanisms which are present in the body. Sometimes it is asked in the viva. Now next mechanism was nitric oxide. So nitric oxide is a soluble gas and it is produced from arginine by the action of enzyme nitric oxide synthase. So there are three types of NOS. So one is endothelial and neuronal. They help in the maintenance of the vascular tone, and this is the NOS which is important in inflammation. This is known as inducible NOS and is involved in the microbial killing. So it is inducible, it means that it is induced when the macrophages and neutrophils are activated by cytokines or the microbial products. So when the microbial products, they come in contact with neutrophils and macrophages, they will help in the production of inducible NOS. And when this NOS will form NO, nitric oxide, the nitric oxide will react with the superoxide to generate the peroxynitrite. Again, it is a very strong free radical which will react with various components of the bacteria or microorganism to kill it. Now last mechanism is the lysosomal enzymes and lysosomal proteins. So both the neutrophils and monocytes, they contain the lysosomal granules, and those granules contain enzymes, microbicidal factors, and that will cause the killing of the microbe. So neutrophils have two basic types of granules. Again, this is asked in the viva. So the larger one is known as azidophilic or primary granule, and it has got these components. These are asked in viva as well as the MCQs. Myeloperoxidase, bactericidal factors like defensins, acid hydrolases, neutral proteases, elastase, cathepsin. So you have to learn all these components which are present in this primary granules and also in the secondary granules which contain lysozyme, collagenase, gelatinase, lactoferrin. So all these are microbicidal chemicals which will help in the killing of that microbe. Again, macrophages, they also contain the acid hydrolases, collagenases, elastase, phospholipase inside the lysosomes. So these proteases will help in the killing of microbe, and these proteases, all these proteases, they are controlled by certain anti-proteases which are present in the serum and tissue fluids like alpha-1 antitrypsin. So these will inhibit the neutrophil elastase and they will prevent the damage to the normal tissue in the body. So there is an applied aspect to this, that when there is alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency, so there is increased action of elastase and it can lead to a disease in the lung which is known as emphysema. In the end, neutrophil extracellular traps, they are extracellular, they are outside the cell, and they are fibrillary networks that will concentrate the antimicrobial substances at the site of infection. So these traps, they are formed by the nuclear chromatin material, and they contain the contents of the lysosomes, and it will provide, these traps will provide a high concentration of antimicrobial substances at those sites where the microbes are present, and also they will trap the microbes in those fibrils and cause the effective killing of the microbe. This is a picture from Robbins. Here it shows these are neutrophils. These are greenish cytoplasm, and this red one is the nucleus. Now here you can see that the nuclear material is forming certain fibrillary traps outside the cell. So these are extracellular fibrillary traps, and these trap will contain the contents of the lysosomal enzymes and inflammatory mediators. So they will help in the effective killing of the microbe. Like here, these are traps, and these are the bacteria which are being killed by these neutrophil extracellular So lastly, there are certain points which are helpful for the MCQs. So in different inflammatory responses, the nature of leukocyte infiltrate varies little bit. So in acute inflammation, first of all neutrophils come in the first 6 to 24 hours, followed by monocytes. And then Pseudomonas infection, the neutrophils will remain there even after 2 to 4 days. In viral infections, the lymphocytes they arrive first, and in allergic reaction, eosinophils are the important cells, WBCs, in the infiltrate. So lastly, the key concepts from Robbins. So leukocytes can eliminate the microbes and dead cells by the phagocytosis, followed by their destruction in the phagolysosomes. The destruction is caused either by the free radicals or other mechanisms are nitric oxide and the lysosomal enzymes. Now neutrophils can extrude their nuclear contents to form extracellular nets, which are known as neutrophil extracellular traps, and this will help in destruction of the microbes. Enzymes and ROS may be released into the extracellular environment. The mechanisms that function to eliminate the microbes and dead cells, they are capable of damaging the normal tissues. So the anti-inflammatory mediators like lipoxins, they will help in termination of the acute inflammatory reaction when it is not needed anymore. So the references are from the Robbins, and thank you very much for listening.